Welcome to a candidate forum featuring candidates for the Citrus Heights City Council. I'm Paula Lee, a member of the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County, and I'll be the moderator for today's forum. The forum is co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County and the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission. The forum is being viewed live by an audience in the Sacramento Board of Supervisors chambers and by a live cable audience at home. It's also being taped for rebroadcast on Metro Cable Channel 14, and you can see the rebroadcast of this forum every Sunday until Election Day. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization of women and men, established to promote political responsibility through informed, active participation in government. The League does not support or oppose or evaluate political candidates or parties. Although our nonpartisanship policy does not permit endorsement of political candidates, we do, after careful study, take positions on political issues. The format for today's forum will be as follows. Each candidate will make a 1-minute opening statement. Next, the candidates will respond to questions from our panel. The questions were submitted by the panelists and reviewed by League members. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question. And then finally, the candidates will have 1 minute for a closing statement. And candidates, your timer is right over there, so keep your eye on her. In the interest of time and decorum, I'll ask the audience to hold all applause until the end of the forum. And now I would like to introduce the candidates who are running for Citrus Heights City Council. Welcome to all of you, and thank you for agreeing to participate in today's forum. Actually, before I introduce you, I'll introduce the panelists who will be questioning you. It's Dan Gowerty from the elkgrovenews.net and Nadia Otterstad from the Citrus Heights Sentinel. And the candidates on my right, Jeannie Bruins, Tim Schaefer, Mel Turner, Steve Miller, and Bridget Duffy. Welcome. We're now ready to begin. And we'll begin with opening statements. Jeannie Bruins.
Thank you, and thank you to the League for inviting us to speak today. My name is Jeannie Bruins, and I am running for my 4th term on the Citrus Heights City Council. I was one of the founding members of the City of Citrus Heights during the 1990s, worked diligently with a group of leaders to bring cityhood to Citrus Heights so that we could bring government closer to the people and so that we could have control over our own land use issues and our local law enforcement. It's been a highly successful city over the last 17 years, and I am running this 4th term because I think we're at a pivotal point in our future, and I think that the sound policies that we have used to govern Citrus Heights need to be carried forward. Primarily, that is fiscal responsibility. We are a city that has no debt. We pay cash for everything. And another founding policy of our city is to have strong law enforcement and to encourage economic development. So thank you very much for having me here today.
Tim Schaefer.
Hi, I've been a resident of Citrus Heights for many years. I've seen wonderful changes in cityhood, really have provided the city of Citrus Heights with a true identity that I'm very proud of. I care very much about my community, and I believe that I can offer a fresh perspective. Many of the neighborhood leaders have expressed mistrust in the process and in the current city council. I believe that I can offer something to restore that trust.
Mel Turner.
Thank you, and welcome. I'm Mel Turner. I'm actually the current mayor of Citrus Heights. I'm in my 1st term as a city council member. The reason why I ran for city council the first time was to continue the efforts of the current council at that time to make Citrus Heights what it is today. A city that's vibrant, a city that's alive, a city that's moving forward. We're continuing to do that, and that's why I'm asking for your vote one more time so that I can continue that effort. The colleagues that are on the council with me are all passionate and committed to making Citrus Heights the very, very best place it can possibly be. I think we've done a very good job based on the survey that was done a couple of years ago. The residents in Citrus Heights are very, very much in favor of what we're doing, our policies, our tactics, and I think we should continue that. So I'm asking for your vote today. I think that you'll find that I am a good candidate for Citrus Heights City Council. Thank you.
And Steve Miller, known to some as Sparky Miller?
Yes, I am Steve Miller, and my friends do know me as Sparky, and it's been a privilege to serve on the Citrus Heights City Council since 2005. I was appointed to fill a one-year term and then was elected for the last 8 years. So it's been 9 years I've been on the council. I've served as mayor twice, both in 2008 and 2013. Nanette and I were married 30 years ago, and that's when we moved to Citrus Heights to raise our family here. And I'm so proud to be part of this positive changes throughout our city. I've consistently voted to keep our city fiscally sound. Our budget has been balanced every year on time, and we have no debt. We continue to maintain a prudent general fund reserve, and last year I helped create on-demand neighborhood ride service for our Citrus Heights, and restored more frequent commuter service, bus service to our city as the Sacramento Regional Transit District Board member. And I've always listened to the concerns of the neighborhoods, and my actions do reflect that on the council, and you can see the results in our cities. And so I'm looking forward to serving another 4 years. For me, it's about family, it's about my family, your family, and the community family, and our success is built on these relationships. Thank you.
Bridget Duffy?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I'm here because my idea, my New Jersey coming out, my idea of fiscal responsibility is completely different from the idea that I've seen being enacted in our city. I think a better way to combat crime would be to start solving some of the issues of poverty. I think a better way to come at making money would be to make some investments in some of the changes that our earth itself is demanding. It's a radical change, and one in a million shot, but I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll begin with questions from our panel. We'll start with Nadia.
2 days ago, the Citrus Heights City Council voted unanimously to oppose Prop 47, with our police chief stating that the proposition would virtually assure the release of 10,000 inmates into local communities. What is your position on Prop 47, and what is your plan to enhance public safety in Citrus Heights?
Jeannie Bruins.
Thank you. As stated earlier, one of the reasons we formed the City of Citrus Heights was to have enhanced police services. And I'm proud to say that today we have a police department that is widely regarded throughout the state to be the example setter. I strongly support our position against Proposition 47. As a community, we are already grappling with the effects of AB 109, the early release of prisoners who supposedly are low-risk offenders, but the truth of the matter is only their last offense is considered in their early release, and some of the prisoners have been high risk, high offenders, sexual predators, and they're on our streets today. To release 10,000 more prisoners in another early release program to shift finances, I feel is irresponsible on this part of our state government, and that we should all oppose this Proposition 47. Thank you.
Tim Schaefer.
I also oppose Prop 47 for some of the very same reasons. We went through a pretty dramatic change when the AB 109 was introduced, and I strongly oppose Prop 47.
Mel Turner.
Thank you. Well, I, too, oppose Prop 47 for lots of the same reasons, but I'm also, because of my background, I was a former probation officer, adult division in San Mateo County before moving to Citrus Heights in 1980. I also worked for the Department of Corrections here in Sacramento, and I have a different view of criminal activity and criminal behavior in terms of what happens when you allow lesser offenders to be redirected back into the community before they've actually spent time in prison or in jail correcting what has caused them to be there in the first place. So to me, criminal behavior, I'd like to see it prevented in the first place. When it isn't prevented for whatever reason, we do find that criminals do, we have what we call recidivism that occurs quite a bit in our community, and that recidivism is caused because we don't have the right programs and the right way, I guess, to correct the behavior that got them in trouble in the first place. So in my mind, the current correctional policy that we have in place, I think is working. I think is working very, very well. And because the court has ordered that we reduce our prison population, Prop 47 has come about to correct that. And I'm not sure that's the right way to go about it. So I'm against the proposition.
Steve Miller?
Thank you. I also was one of the 5 that voted to oppose Prop 49 Thursday night. And it's kind of interesting that they also call it the Safe Schools Initiative, where they would take the money saved from these prisoners being released to help make the safe schools safer. And of course, I think we would need to when we're releasing that many offenders onto the streets. And we'd be reclassifying felonies as misdemeanors, such as date rape drugs, and a lot of the funds being used for this would then go to rape prevention. And I have a little trouble understanding. I'm sure it was a well-intended proposition, but I'm certainly against it, because we are seeing reoffenders under the AB 109 program of early release. We've got a number of arrests in our city of these folks that were released and back onto the streets, and they just reoffended. So I'm against it.
Bridget Taffy?
I am so glad you asked that question. Thank you very much. If I'm not mistaken, this is a proposition that would lower some felony offenses to a misdemeanor offense. It's to lower non-violent offenders. You know, basically a lot of drug charges, a lot of the things that occur when people are impoverished and put upon almost in every way, fined, taxed. The people of this country have been getting shaken down for decades now, and if we really want crime to be a part of our past as human beings, we have to address the issues that are causing the crime, and that is poverty, lack of training, atrocious education. And, you know, to be honest with you, I cannot believe this is even on the table. This is 2014. Marijuana is a medicine, and people are doing time over it. And it's an outrage.
Thank you. I just remind all of you to keep your eye on the timer. She has the stop sign and the 15-minute warning. And the next question will come from Dan Gowerty, and we'll be rotating who speaks first, so you'll be answering first this time, Mel Turner.
Thank you. What is your position on the City of Citrus Heights proposal to relocate City Hall? And can you tell and explain why this is or is not beneficial to taxpayers?
Okay.
Tim?
Oh,
Tim
you said
Schaefer.
Mel.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Tim Schaefer.
No problem.
It is Tim's turn.
Well, I strongly oppose the relocation of the City Hall. I think that we either have other priorities besides selling the City Hall property. Spending $20 million on a brand new City Hall when we have roads to repave, spending down the $26 million reserves that we have, drawing $20 million out of that $26 million is a significant concern. Once that money is spent, what are we left with? If we need to do the roads, are we faced with we're going to be faced with a tax revenue generation proposal at that point. So I don't think this is the right time to sell the City Hall property. I think that I want to first say that Dignity Health and any other major businesses are welcome Citrus Heights. I'm a pro-business guy. I just don't think that this is the time to sell the City Hall property.
Mel Turner.
Well, first of all, this is the right time to sell it. Dignity Health approached us. We did not approach them with a proposal that makes a lot of sense. One of the things about our council is we use good judgment and good common sense when it comes to anything that benefits our city. We're looking at the possibility of new jobs in our city. We're looking at economic development. We're looking at a footprint of a very large corporation who's going to bring not only a vibrant, in terms of medical office buildings to our community, but it also is going to allow our seniors who are using medical facilities to throughout the area to stay in Citrus Heights and receive those medical facilities. The fact is that our current City Hall is on a very, very choice piece of land. It is in a dilapidated building that's been there since the 1970s, a former nursery, and even though we have not thought about rebuilding or moving City Hall, this proposal has allowed us to really take a look at that and leverage the money we're going to be receiving from Dignity Health to build a new City Hall. Luckily, our City Hall is going to be in the same general area where our current City Hall is. We're just right down the street, and that proposal came to us, again, unexpectedly, and so we're very, very pleased with that, so I'm definitely in support of Dignity Health and the new City Hall.
Steve Miller?
We are faced with a difficult decision with our current City Hall. The systems are failing. The air conditioning, the electrical is over capacity. We have an elevator system that we cannot even get spare parts for. We have numerous upgrades we need to do to around the facility for Americans with Disability Act compliance and access to facilities. We have two-story buildings with no elevators that we can't allow the public to use. So it's going to take a significant investment. And I've heard Mr. Schaefer propose that we sell bonds to pay for this, and yet he's also pledged not to raise taxes, so I don't know how we would repay these bonds. We were given a very generous offer from Dignity Health of close to $7 million for our property, and that's valued at 1.6, so the finances are quite intriguing. We're still studying the issue, and I'm sure we'll make a decision that's best for Citrus Heights about March of next year.
Bridget Duffy?
I'm also glad you asked this question. Large corporate footprint. I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly what this is. This is benefiting. This is benefiting the citizens of Citrus Heights like a large corporate footprint sounds like it would benefit us. Bam, squish. $20 million. Our reserve has been dwindling for a couple of years now. It went from 50 million to 30 million. Recently, it went to 26 million. Now they want to spend 20 million on a building, a new building, a nice one, a really nice one. We don't need a building. We need a lot of things, but it's not a building.
Jeannie Bruins?
Thank you. This clearly has been one of the most contentious issues that we've faced in many years. As I've evaluated it, I've taken a look initially at what bringing Dignity Health to Citrus Heights would benefit our city. And that is tied to moving City Hall, so we can't talk about one without the other. Then I went through a phase of nostalgia when I looked at what we've had for City Hall and the grounds and the gardens for the last 16, 17 years. Before I make a final decision, I must wait until we have the traffic study finished, before we have the EIR finished, to take a look at what those results are. But I will tell you that I believe bringing 170 professional jobs, including 50 doctors, 120 support staff, to our community is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, because we are a built-out community. I will also share with you that one of the big obstacles in my mind, which I voted against, was the relocation of Citrus Heights to Antelope, and that has now been taken off the table, and we can maintain our Civic Center if it goes through. Thank you.
Okay, Nadia, you can pose a question, and the first one to answer it will be Mel Turner.
The local tax increase known as Measure K was shot down by Citrus Heights voters in 2012. Although it was supported by council members at the time. Would you support future tax increases, and did you support Measure K? Why or why not?
Okay, thank you. Yes, I did support Measure K. As a matter of fact, I was one of the people involved in getting support and volunteer efforts to get people to understand what Measure K was all about. I am not in favor of most taxes. I think we have to understand what the tax is for, and there has to be a direct benefit that makes sense for our community. And this particular tax measure did make sense for infrastructure projects and also for adding police officers to deal with the realignment through the AB 109. So for me, this was one of those areas where I had to really really listened to what was going on in the community in terms of what our needs were, seeing those needs, and understanding what those needs were, and the tax at this point was the one way that we could get that done. Because we, again, are a built-out city, we don't attract a lot of new businesses. Right now, we're dependent upon sales tax for all of our revenue, and luckily, in the year 2022, we will start to receive our property taxes through the negotiated agreement with the county when we broke away as a city in 1997. So we don't have a lot of income coming in, and this was one of the ways for us to increase improvement of our streets and also for our law enforcement to deal with the AB 109. Thank you.
Steve Miller?
I also supported the measure, and strongly because I felt we needed to pave our roads, and in particular our residential streets. We get enough federal, state, and grant money to take care of our major arterials, but nothing to help with our residential streets, and that is something that can improve the values of our homes and the look. It's something government can do to improve the quality of life. It was a small price to pay, I felt, and it was a one-time tax that would have expired once the roads were repaved, and I have to add that part of the drawdown of the general reserve was to match the $1 million a year that this would generate for paving our streets, and we still are committed, and this year we did spend $1.2 million out of our budget for streets, just not as much as we thought we could, and so it'll take longer, and the longer we wait, the more it costs to fix our roads. And so we are looking at other ways, and that's one of my goals in the next 4 years, is to find a way to get our residential streets, hopefully with a new Measure A that'll allow us to get funding for this.
Bridget Jaffe?
If this is the measure that I think it had to do with hiring more police. Is that true? Yeah? Okay, well, I was opposed to that 2 years ago. I'm opposed to it still, or any raising of our taxes for more police. We have plenty of police. At the time, Jeff Slowly was the mayor, and I asked him, Jeff, if we give you more money for police, will you promise they won't own a ticket book? Can we get some police that are actually showing up to help us when we need help? So that was my question. I think we pay plenty of taxes. There's plenty of money available. It is being mismanaged. It's being mismanaged because it's not for any other reason other than, as our capitalist system dictates, money signs are blinding everybody. There are other ways to do things.
Jeannie Bruins?
Thank you. I did support Measure K when it was on the ballot, which was probably the first time in my life that I've really supported a tax measure, because I am very conservative in that regard. And the reason I supported it was because it was going to, for an investment of less than $5 a month per household, it was going to allow us to accelerate the repair of our streets, to stave off the deterioration that continues to happen with the problems that we basically inherited when we became a city. Most of our streets had deferred maintenance, that they'd never been resurfaced, repaired, or in any way. It was a dual measure. At the same time was to provide funding for additional officers to respond to the AB 109 early release prisoners. We felt that that was a tremendous threat to our community. We had already seen recidivism. We'd already seen crimes being committed by people that had been released early. And so at the time, I felt that it was important. Going forward, I don't see any need for increased taxes, and I don't see any measures on the horizon that I would support. Thank you.
Tim Schaefer?
Thanks for a great question. I opposed Measure K for a multitude of reasons. The first one being is that we have a $49,000 a year median income within the city. Typically, households are two incomes, so that's about $13 an hour. Now you take a utility tax. Now that's a utility tax that everyone will pay. You are hitting the people who can least afford to pay that tax with the tax. That's the first reason. Second reason was, when it was first introduced, it was introduced to support the Police Activities League, which is a great program. I will tell you, I'm a huge supporter of that program, but to raise taxes to support the Police Activities League wasn't, I didn't feel it was adequate enough reason. The AB 109 issue came up after Measure K was released, was originally introduced. So the AB 109 was something that was tacked on to Measure K at the end.
thank you. Okay, Dan.
Okay. Excuse me. Vice Mayor Sue Frost has said she questions whether it is the proper role of government to solve the problem of homelessness, or whether most aspects of the problem are best solved by private charity. Given the complaints about homelessness in Citrus Heights, what do you believe is the proper role of government is in regard to homelessness in the community?
Steve Miller?
I take it's my turn. As I've walked the precincts and talked to homeowners and our businesses, this is a major issue in Citrus Heights. And I don't want to do anything that is enabling. What we're finding out is a lot of it is drug use, both methamphetamines and heroin. And so I love the programs. You know, I believe each level of government has a different responsibility. At the local level, we are trying to, in fact, we just heard in our CDBG program grants for housing and getting folks that are at risk back into homes, and I truly support that effort. But we have a bigger problem, and one thing I read was that we have a lot of homeless veterans, and I think we've got a strong community of veterans in our community that can help get them back into our into society, back into homes, and get them off drugs. So I support treatment programs to that end.
Bridget Duffy?
Yeah, treatment programs have been proven scientifically to help this situation. It seems like we have some amnesia in this country. But the one thing I'd like to say about the homeless issue is that this country, the city, in fact, is littered with churches, mosques, temples. If Jesus was here, or Muhammad, or Buddha was here, he'd walk into these buildings and he'd say, "Do you know there are people sleeping in the streets?" That's what he'd say. That's what those people would say. Yet people continue to call themselves something and act in a completely opposite manner. As long as we, as citizens of the world, keep walking past people who are in need, we should not call ourselves Christians or anything else regarding God.
Jeannie Bruins?
Thank you. Well, the homeless situation, this homeless subject in any community is a complex subject. In a perfect world, it would be great if nonprofits and individuals stepped up and took charge, took responsibility, took compassion on the homeless all by themselves. But the reality is that homelessness is a multiplicity of problems and has lots of issues with different kinds of people. And as a community, I believe it is our responsibility to step up and be part of the solution. And we do that a number of ways. We do it with a very compassionate program through our police department, who don't just make arrests as they deal with the homeless people, but they provide information on programs and on services. We collaborate with services for housing. We collaborate with a nonprofit community to provide services and help on multiple levels. And I think that is responsible. I believe it's compassionate, and I believe it is realistic. Thank you.
Tim Schaefer?
You know, the homeless issue is a really near and dear to my heart. I have a family member who's been chronically homeless for 25 years. We've done a tremendous amount of work trying to bring him into the fold. But the unfortunate thing is that it is almost a lifestyle choice. It's very difficult to meet the needs of the community and also reach the homeless. If you try to put stipulations on the homeless, they will continue to be homeless. So while I think treatment programs, I think there's a multi-faceted program that needs to be in place where we look at homeless, we understand what their perspective is, but only what we really need to look at is many of these folks that are homeless are also mentally ill and they need help. And turning our back on them or shoving them in the next community is not the answer, because they'll come right back. We have a close proximity to a rail yard, which brings lots and lots of homeless to the area, and we need to put a comprehensive program in place to take care of our local homeless.
Mel Turner?
Well, it sounds to me like what I'm hearing is that government does have a role in helping deal with the homeless situation. I think you'll find that most people are one paycheck away from being homeless themselves. We have a lot of working poor in our community, just like other communities in this particular region, and it's not easy for people to try and make it based on either one income or a minimum wage income. Homelessness is something that has been around for a long time and probably will continue to be around for a long time. And in our particular community, we get complaints all the time from business owners and from homeowners about the homeless issue in terms of how it directly impacts them. So even though I would love to think that we are going to have private sector and nonprofits get involved in the homeless situation and help the homeless problem, we here to date have not seen that eradicate homelessness. What we're seeing is an increase of homelessness, if nothing else, and there definitely is a role the government has to play in that. And sometimes that's just coordinating services, sometimes it's being a safety net for the homeless. So I, for one, support the government involvement in helping the homeless.
Okay. Next question.
Each election, there is a lot of talk about special interests controlling candidates. On October 6th, you all filed a campaign disclosure form showing who donated to you and how much. Take a minute to share with voters who your top 2 donors are and how these donations would or would not have an influence on decisions you would make.
And we begin with Bridget Duffy.
Thank you for asking that question. I have had no donations. I'm running without money. Nobody has donated to my campaign, nor do I want anybody to donate to my campaign. I am running a people-powered politics.us campaign. That's my website that I don't have up yet, so don't go there. But people power, that's what I'm running on. If people hear what I say and they think, sounds pretty good, maybe we'll go in that direction, because we're certainly going in a different direction. We have been going in the trajectory that we're on as a city, as a country, as a world, I don't even know if I want to be here in 15 years, if it continues along the same trajectory. So I'm running on people power. If you hear what I say and you like it, do something.
Jeannie Bruins.
Thank you. I am blessed to have had and continue to have broad support throughout the community. My 2 top donors to my campaign are on opposite sides of the spectrum, as a matter of fact. One of them is Safe Credit Union, who has supported me in all of my races. And the reason they support me is because they support strong fiscal responsibility, and our city sets that example statewide. And so I'm very proud to have Safe Credit Union and their board of directors as a strong supporter of my candidacy in this race as well, for those reasons. Also because they are a phenomenal community supporter, which includes educating our students to the level that they have actually put a branch at Mesa Verde High School that our Business Academy students run on their own. My other second largest donor to my campaign to date is a private citizen. He's retired. His name is Theodore Mitchell, and he has lived in the community all his life. He is a property owner that leases land to developers who have given us such wonderful centers such as Citrus Town Center, and I'm proud to have a private citizen be a major donor. Thank you.
Tim Schaefer.
I primarily financed my campaign, about 80% of it. The balance of it comes from local citizens in Citrus Heights, veterans. I'm a veteran myself, so they've supported me. That's really, the citizens of Citrus Heights are the ones that supported the vast majority of my campaign.
Mel Turner.
Well, when I told my wife 4 years ago that I was going to run for city council, the first thing she said is, where are you going to get the money from? Because we didn't have the budget, didn't have the money for me to run. And that holds true today. We don't have a lot of disposable income as a family. So I knew I had to go out and raise money, and so I've done that. I've done a very good job, I think, of raising money from some very, very good people and businesses within our community. The Form 460 that we have to fill out tells us who those are, so I'll just mention 2 of them to you: Republic Services, and I also receive a lot of money from the manufactured homes, which are our senior homes, the mobile home parks within the city of Citrus Heights. And they have obviously concluded that I'm doing a good job, and that's why I have received their support. Thank you.
And Steve Miller.
Thanks. Well, that was the initial one, and I've done a fundraiser since then, so I can't claim Ted Mitchell this time, but maybe on the next reporting cycle I can. I think the top two for me was the Rental Housing Association and the Mobile Home Manufacturers Association, PAC, and they were both early donors, and it wasn't because they wanted something out of me. It's because they supported my decision in 2009 against rent control, and there was a good reason for that. I felt that if we imposed rent control and set rates as it was worded at the current level, that we would be fighting a long court battle because the property owners would want to establish a fair market rate before their rates were locked in, which would have meant that the mobile home rents would have gone up throughout the city, hurt our seniors, and that's also true of our apartments. I've worked with them to establish the idea of long-term leases, so when mobile home parks sell, the rents do not go up. Our seniors in our mobile home parks are protected, and this has been called the the Citrus Heights model throughout the entire state of California. It's been a way to mitigate huge increases in rent when mobile home parks sell.
Okay. Next question from Dan, and we'll begin with Jeannie Bruins.
Okay, thank you. Although the city and San Juan Unified School Districts are two different government entities, many Citrus Heights residents have expressed concern about the plans for Sylvan Hills Middle School. What role, if any, should city council members have in this matter?
Thank you, Dan, for asking that question, because it is a difficult situation. School closures are always difficult for a community, and I've attended a number of parent meetings where schools were on the block to be closed or consolidated. Clearly, this is a vote that will come down to the Board of Trustees. The Citrus Heights City Council has no legal authority. We are sympathetic. We are listening to our community. I happen to sit on the city's education committee, and we'll have the opportunity later this month to sit in a meeting with the school superintendent and really talk about the concerns of our citizens. We are listening to them. We can share their concerns, but we really have no authority over it. It's always it's impactful whenever there's a change like this. The one question I do have, and that is how this can happen so quickly. Knowing the process that we're going through for the medical building and the move of City Hall and the time it's taken to do that, I'm really looking forward to the answers to that question, is how they can be making this decision within just a couple months. Thank you.
Tim Schaefer.
This is an important dialogue to have with the school board. Many of the decisions the school board makes will dramatically impact life in the city. Traffic concerns, but more importantly, what will motivate people to move to Citrus Heights if they close schools? If people say, well, the schools in Citrus Heights are overcrowded, what will motivate those people to come to Citrus Heights and support our community? So these are all things that it's a very important dialogue to have. While I understand that the school board is an autonomous council, it also needs to, that's just a really important dialogue to have, and to select what makes the most sense for that particular community and all that's going on with, in this particular case, where you have two schools that will potentially close and transfer all the traffic around the corner from Sylvan School over to the other portions of the area.
Mel Turner.
Thank you. Yes, I'm also a member of the Educational Committee, the 2x2 that we have with the school district, and as Councilmember Bruins has mentioned, we will be meeting with them later this month to talk about some of the issues that we've heard from residents. We don't have any direct authority, as you know, to impact and or vote, but this is an election year. Right now there are candidates running for the school board. Those candidates are listening to voters, and I think those parents out there who are very, very concerned about what's happening to our schools and our community need to let those candidates who are running for office know which way they think they should be voting on this particular issue as it comes before their attention. I think our role as a sister agency, if you will, is to at least be a vehicle for information both ways. That's information to the school board as well as information from the school board back to the individuals in our community. And as they come before us at council meetings and they meet us out in the street, whatever information we have, we're willing to share with them. We don't have a lot of insider information, obviously, but it is an issue that impacts our city, and we want our kids to grow up and come back to Citrus Heights if they've moved out for any reason. So I think it is important to maintain the schools that we have, and we'll be listening and talking. Thank you.
Steve Miller.
Thank you. This is a very difficult question for me to answer. First of all, both my kids went through Citrus Heights Elementary, Sylvan Middle School, and Mesa Verde. In fact, last night I was out at the Mesa Verde San Juan high school game helping the Boosters Club cook hot dogs and hamburgers. I really enjoy getting out there and seeing high school football at its best, and I think San Juan won the Citrus Heights Bowl. But dancing around the question, there's a reason for that. I work for the school district. I'm not in the decision-making process on whether or not Sylvan Middle School gets rehabilitated or closed. And so I'm not a decision maker. This is up to our school board. I would support whatever decision they make, and I echo Mel Turner's comments that this is something our parents need to engage the school board and the school district on this matter and have their voice heard. Thank you.
Bridget Duffy.
Yeah, I have looked into this a little bit, and it seems as though it's the same big footprint, big corporate footprint that we're experiencing in other areas of government all over the place. Really, it's deep, and I live down the street from a school that was just basically landscaped for $1.8 million of the taxpayers' money. I'm sure that the taxpayers did not vote for Measure N thinking that the kids would get new landscaping. A little girl from that school was talking to me the other day, and she is in a classroom with 57 other students. They call it a combination class. Something is very wrong when we're spending $1.8 million on landscaping and the children are crowded in classrooms. And yes, I do believe the city council should be very proactive.
Okay, Nadia, question for Tim Schaefer.
Citrus Heights has sought to create a city that is business-friendly, with stores like Stein Mart opening earlier this month and HD Supply opening next week. What specifically would you do to keep and attract businesses in Citrus Heights?
Well, thank you very much. That's a great question. Right now, I just sort of enumerated the median income for Citrus Heights residents, and here's the problem that we have. We have too much retail in Citrus Heights. We have more retail than we can really support here. We have multiple stores that are struggling, and it's because we have a $49,000 median income. People aren't shopping at the Sunrise Mall anymore. They're shopping at Arden Fair. They're shopping at the Galleria in Roseville. So we're really not looked at a regional center for shopping today. So my approach to drawing business in there would be to train and to provide training and education and to build a true labor pool in Citrus Heights to draw businesses to the area.
Mel Turner.
Okay, thank you. Economic development is something that obviously we take very, very seriously in our city because we don't have other sources of revenue other than our sales tax, as we talked about early on. So for us, it's a matter of setting up, as we have done, the council has set up an economic development fund to attract businesses to our community as a way to support some of the things they like to do, infrastructure projects, whether it's sewer connections, we've done credits, we've done lots of things that we are able to help them look at our city as a viable option in terms of moving. We've also opened the doors to a lot of new businesses. As you mentioned, HD Supply. We've also got a Walmart supermarket that's coming into Citrus Heights. These are businesses that we need. One new business that we opened up on the other side of Antelope, on the other side of our city, has been in a very blighted area that for years has been a place where drug addicts and homeless have congregated, and we have a Stones Casino that has opened up a fabulous facility there. And the thing about the 400 jobs that they are bringing to Citrus Heights is that 51 of those jobs are for residents. 51 of the people they've employed are residents of Citrus Heights. So I believe very strongly in economic development and doing everything we can to make it happen in Citrus Heights. Thank you.
Steve Miller.
Yeah, a lot of folks truly believe we can control what goes where and who comes to Citrus Heights and where they locate their business. But really all we can do is encourage through things like economic development, our facade improvement grants, and our sign grants to help existing businesses improve their image and increase customer base. But truly, we need to look at diversifying our economy. The internet is affecting your basic retail stores and how they do business. I know there's a strong interest in improving the mall and making some changes there, but again, we can help that through fee deferrals and the infrastructure around it with our streets to make it attractive, and yet it takes the businesses to make the investment. So we can only encourage that through proper zoning, responsive planning, and one thing I like that I've heard from the businesses that have come here is how easy our staff is to work with to get the doors open, and that includes our planning department, our building department, and our inspectors, and our partnership with the fire department, getting these folks doors open so they can open for business.
Bridget Duffy.
I hate to beat a drum, but corporate greed is what's attacking our family-run businesses, which are dying by the day. I see them disappearing all the time. I had a business. I was working for a business that was driven out of business by a greedy landlord who wanted double what my restaurant owner was paying. Popular family-owned restaurant, everybody loved it, but it's gone, and it's gone forever. The only way to combat this is to stop allowing the bigger businesses into the city. A lot of cities in California and other places have put moratoriums on huge corporate outlets, but we're getting another one in Citrus Heights, where the good old nursery was on Sunrise. We're getting a Smart and Final. Now, that's going to put the final nail in the coffin of any small business around there.
Jeannie Bruins.
Thank you. Many years ago, I took a class that was offered by the California State Chamber of Commerce on economic development. It was a kind of a one-day, cram it all in, 8 hours kind of class. But the overriding message that came out of that is that economic development is dependent upon jobs. It's not dependent upon building new rooftops. It's not dependent upon bringing in more retail for sales tax. It's about jobs. And so we have a thriving retail community in Citrus Heights. I support that community and any new retailers that want to come in. And the reason I support that is because they've done their work. They know that our demographics will support it. But in addition to that, I also support job diversity. And as a government, it is our job, number one, to step aside and stay out of the way and not put onerous policies in place that would drive business out, and also to assist where we can, where we've done it with our sign program, we've done it with our sewer credits, we've done it with our design program, where we help the businesses to come in, to grow, and to thrive in Citrus Heights. Thank you.
Okay, Dan, next question. And that will be for Mel Turner.
Thank you. If you are elected, or in your case, re-elected to the City Council, how will you personally measure your success as a council member after 4 years?
Good question, and I would do the same thing I've been doing. I am actually walking precincts as I did before. I'm very visible in the community. I'm not immune to talking to people at any venue that I might be at, whether it's at Walmart or at Costco or any public event. I'm very open, very transparent, and people have no problems coming up to me. I was even spoken to at a park regarding some situations where luckily I have thick skin, because people are not afraid to come up and tell you things about how concerned they are or upset they are about some of the things you voted on, some of the things you have done in terms of decisions. So people know that. I've received email messages from folks. Some of them are very negative and very derogatory. I've received very positive comments from people, but I'm very receptive and open to that. So one of the ways I measure my report card, if you will, is to ask people and to be willing to listen to people. I may not agree with them. As a matter of fact, a lot of times some of the things people say to me I don't agree with, but I'll listen. And I think that's really the key to being a very good council person, is to listen to people. Thank you.
Steve Miller?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I can measure my success in my first 2 terms. One of the first goals was forming our own police department, and we can all see how successful that was. We have an award-winning police department. My second goal was building a community center, a place we could all come together and meet, have fundraisers. I look forward to going tonight to a big event there to celebrate a 60th wedding anniversary of friends, and that is very measurable to be able to go to this building and see our success. My current goals, as far as I've talked about repaving the streets, the metrics are easy. How many miles do we do? Reducing crime. We've seen a 14% decrease over the last year, and I hope to see that keep going down. Traffic collisions, fatal injuries on our streets, speeding tickets, DUIs arrests. Those are all measurable metrics that I can use. And the best thing about this is we meet every 6 months as a council to go over these goals and strategically plan how we can achieve these and assign these this work to be done.
Bridget Duffy.
I guess this question doesn't really apply to me so much.
Well, no, if you were elected. If you were elected.
If I was
Yes.
elected, okay. I measure success differently. I don't measure success in financial terms. I just don't. I think there's quality of life issues that can be addressed. There's a pending water shortage that is going to seriously impact our communities that we could be doing something about now. There's poverty issues. There's the schools. There's noise issues in our community. Our population actually is dwindling. It's gone down by 3,000 since 2010, I think. The tickets, I have heard that people don't want to come into Citrus Heights anymore because of the tickets they get. I don't think this is a good track to be on. I don't think it is a good city to be living in. And I absolutely think it's within our power to change it. And I don't even think I need to get elected to change it, because people power can change it without me getting elected.
Jeannie Bruins.
Thank you. The way I would judge 4 years down the line whether or not I had been successful as a council member will really be measured on a macro as well as a micro level in my mind. The macro level is the quality of life for our citizens. Have we done our job as a municipality to keep our infrastructure repaired and updated and in better shape than it was 4 years prior, through new roads, through keeping our water system flowing, keeping our creeks clean, and keeping our landscaping thriving. Those types of things, those infrastructure things are important to attract new business and new residents who want to live in this community. Also, to keep the crime statistics going down is another macro indicator of success. And on the micro level, it's the one-on-one work that we do as council members, the satisfaction we get when we can help one citizen or a small group of citizens that have a need and see that come to resolution to make their life better. Thank you.
Tim Schaefer.
My measure of success is all about the citizens of Citrus Heights. I currently sit on the REACH board. I'm vice president of REACH. I'm neighborhood association president. We've seen very little support from the city when it comes to REACH, when it comes to actually reaching out and listening to the citizens. I was really shocked that we have a council, that members sit right here beside me, that we collected 1,200 signatures. We could argue whether it's 12 or 1,300 signatures. And it was absolutely outrage that these folks, these citizens' opinions, who are expressing their opinions through a petition, and those petitions were completely dismissed. That's outrageous. That's not listening. That's not a true cooperation between the city and the citizens of Citrus Heights.
Okay. Oh, no more questions. So we'll just move to closing remarks. No. We're going to do the closing remarks a little differently. We're going to start in the middle, which means that we're going to begin with you.
Okay. How
Mel
much
Turner.
time do I have for a closing remark?
1 minute.
1 minute, okay, let me get started then. So again, I'm asking for your vote to allow me to continue the work that we've done. I represent, and I think I bring a lot of good common sense, good judgment. I think that you have seen me in action either as a council member or as mayor. You've seen how we have made decisions in our council, particularly those of you who are involved in the Creek Trail project, knowing that that study created a lot of heartache for a lot of people in our community, and how the council listened to the community and was able to turn around the decisions regarding the Creek Trail project. We had over 300 citizens who were actively engaged in that particular project. We've also seen the medical office building project, how that's brought out a lot of people who normally don't get involved in what goes on in our city, but it brought them, again, to issues that they were concerned about, and I think we've dealt with those as well. So I'm asking for your support again. It's not about me, it's about running our city, it's about doing what's right for our city, and I think I'm the person who has proven that I can do what's right for our city, particularly when no one's looking. Thank you.
Steve Miller.
Thank you. First, I wanted to address the petition. The petition said, save our city hall, and I can guarantee you we're going to save our city hall in one form or another. It just did not have specific language, but we did hear, and I think we've made some changes all along the way with that process because of what we've heard from all the residents. So, to my closing statement, I would like to thank, first of all, my biggest supporter, my wife, for her continued support, and my fellow candidates for being here today. I'd also like to thank the League of Women's Voters for putting this on, and our moderators and our questioners here. Thank you for taking the time. I also want to thank the folks behind the scenes at Metro Cable that make this happen, and especially those of you who are turning in today to be more informed voters. We've had many successes as a city, and I believe we have a very bright future. So I respectfully ask for your vote on November 4th so we continue building these successes. And if you need more information or would like to contact me, please go to chstevemiller.net on the web for more information. And thank you again.
Bridget Duffy.
Thank you, Steve. I'm just going to ditto all those thank yous. 1 minute. Big money supporters reap big money servants. Our prison system isn't currently correctional. And the community center, which is a beautiful community center, I have never been able to afford to rent. It's not for the public, it's for those who are successful in our area. And that success rate is getting further and further crowded at the top. And I just represent the people. If the people want something different, then I'm the person to vote for. Tim Schaefer's doing a pretty good job, too. Republican-Democrat alliance. Right-left alliance to, oh yeah, that's right. May I quote Ralph Nader? What we need in this country is the right-left alliance to topple the corporate machine.
Jeannie Bruins.
Thank you. I want to thank the League of Women Voters. I'd also like to thank the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission for putting this forum on today. As a 30-year resident of Citrus Heights, this is my home. I came here 30 years ago after it was my 30th move, and it was a great place to set down roots. I've invested myself in this community on many levels, as the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, as a mother, as a grandmother, as a business owner, as an employee, and also as a community leader in many facets, even before I was on the City Council. I think I've got the staying power and I've got the vision for this city that as we work together cooperatively with our citizens, with the other agencies in Citrus Heights to make life better. I had a hand in the opening of the Youth Center on Sayonara. I had a hand in the opening of the community garden on Stock Ranch Road. I had a hand in policies that have brought our city forward and continue to help our city thrive. I ask you to vote for Jeannie Bruins for re-election. Thank you.
Tim Schaefer.
I'd also like to thank the Women League of Voters and the Sacramento Cable for this opportunity to get my message out. It's really important that the city of Citrus Heights be interactive with its citizens. I truly am your voice. I've raised my family in Citrus Heights. Both of my kids went to Kingswood Elementary School, and it's been a great place to raise the kids. My daughter chose to reside on the other side of town from me, but still within the city. So on November 4th, I'd really appreciate it. My name's Tim Schaefer. On November 4th, please vote for me for City Council. Thank you.
And on behalf of the League of Women Voters and the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission, I thank the candidates and thank you, the panelists, for participating. And I'd also like to thank all the volunteers who've made this forum possible. This forum has been designed to impart information to you, the voter, in accordance with our belief that our democracy depends on the informed and active participation of its citizens. We hope that the insights you gain from this forum will aid you into making your decision. And this forum will be rebroadcast every Sunday on Metro Cable, Channel 14, until Election Day. A repeat playback schedule is advertised on Metro Cable, their bulletin board, every day from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. And you can also find that on the Metro Cable website at sacmetrocable.tv. And then for more voter information, you can visit the League of Women Voters website, lwvsacramento.org, or smartvoter.org, or brand new this year is the Voters Edge website, votersedge.org. And Voters Edge is a one-stop, great website for voter information. It's very simple and it's nonpartisan, and you can learn a lot. You can get a customized ballot just by typing in your address and learn where your polling place is, and I think you'll find it very valuable. The League of Women Voters is where hands-on work to strengthen democracy leads to civic improvement. Please vote November 4th and help make democracy work. Thank you.
Thank you.